the Lakers have nothing to be proud of right now. The season's not going as expected. LeBron is getting older, and the Lakers don't look like they're getting any better. But let's talk about the reason why their season's going this way and if it can improve. You know, the truth behind the Lakers season being a bust so far is it really just comes down to just, by committee, the team, the way the team is assembled and constructed. They really just don't have a lot of fitting pieces in regards to how they play on the floor and how they gel. Now, to say that, I will say this. I feel like they would be a better team if they didn't have Russell Westbrook on there. And if LeBron James was running the offense the way he has done previous years. But in that situation, I think they'd only be a better team during the season, because by the end of the season going into the playoffs, I think LeBron would run out of gas, which is the reason why they acquired Russell Westbrook and the reason why Anthony Davis should be the number one guy on the team right now as far as scoring and taking the load away from LeBron James so he wouldn't have to do so much. So you could take Russell out of the equation. Or hypothetically, if the Lakers didn't acquire Russell Westbrook, they would be fine with the roster they have now, I believe, or they'd be better than what they are. I don't know if they'd be a championship team, but they would be better than what they are right now. But like I said, it would require LeBron to do more. But when you think about that, LeBron's doing much more than expected now, even with Russell Westbrook. I mean, the way the team is right now, it just doesn't look like nobody is on the same page. It looks like everybody is just trying to play off talent rather than play off chemistry. And those are the things that get you beat in the NBA. Because in instances like that, you have one or two players trying to do too much at times when everybody else on the team is there to contribute just as you are, but you're not allowing them to contribute because you're making too many mistakes or too many mishaps are happening on both ends of the floor to allow your team to get any rhythm. And those type of things hurt you as the season goes on, and game by game that you play, more teams watch tape, film, and watch your weaknesses, and they exploit the weaknesses you have, and they see that it works every time they play you. They're going to keep utilizing that weakness to their advantage. And the Lakers' weakness is so glaring, it just really hurts them in the long run. Because to me, a lot of people say the Lakers' weakness is Russell Westbrook, and I've said that too. But on top of that, they have a more glaring weakness than that, if you ask me, because to me, the biggest problem they have is they can't close games. And I say Russell Westbrook is a big problem too, because the turnovers, how he plays and everything like that. But there are games I've seen this year where he's cut down on the turnovers. And I'm not saying Russell Westbrook gets a pass, because he doesn't. He doesn't get a pass at all. Russell Westbrook plays like trash a lot of games. He can have a triple-double, but he almost has a quadruple-double, because he might have 10 assists, but he might have 8 or 9 turnovers. So it doesn't really equate to winning, because it's like the plus-minus differential is not factoring out in the Lakers' favor. Because when you look at Russell Westbrook, he plays one way, and the way he plays is reckless. And if he's not, scoring at a high clip or playing the way he usually does, the Lakers lose. Or should I say, no, it doesn't matter if he plays at a high clip or not. The Lakers lose either way. And this is my point. When you have somebody like him on the floor who doesn't have a high basketball IQ, it hurts you in the long run, because you don't have somebody that knows situational basketball and make plays on the offense or defensive end at times in the games when you need it. There's always crucial times in a game where plays need to be made. A lot of people will tell you the fourth quarter is the only time. Well, that's the best time to make the plays that you need to make in order to help your team win, if you're able to come back or able to sustain a lead to finish a game out. But there's other instances in the game where it could be a game-changing play or momentum swings. And for the Lakers, the momentum doesn't swing their way much when you look at their team now. Happy birthday, LeBron. You're 37 years old, but you had to take an L with it. You couldn't even get the win last night. And it's not LeBron's fault. LeBron is playing amazing. He's playing very great for somebody who's 37 years old in his 19th season, I believe. It's just very amazing to watch him do what he does. But it's very piss poor to watch the Lakers play, because they really don't have an identity. And that's one of their biggest biggest things. But to me, the biggest weakness that I see that really overrides the turnovers and them not gelling and all those type things, I just see they can't close. And honestly, the Lakers don't have a closer. And to me, every great team has to have that closer type player. It's just the way it is. You got to have that guy that can just, close the game out whenever need be and, win games just putting the team on his back. Now, LeBron can do that at times, but it's hard to ask LeBron to do it all the time. So LeBron can't be a closer like he used to be because he's just too old. And I mean, there's going to be regular season games. You're going to see him knock down some big shots, things like that. But a closer is somebody who can do it consistently over and over and over and over. And LeBron can't do that now. He just can't. And a lot of people debated the fact that he couldn't really do it in his prime because that's why he had D Wade and he had Kyrie at one point. He just never really could do it in his prime, a lot of people would say, So I look at the situation and I understand that, LeBron is older, but they have to find a way to close games out because there's a lot of games that they leave incomplete. They'll have a substantial lead and then it just goes away. Almost like last night's game against the Memphis Grizzlies. You have a 14-point lead. You're in control. It looks like everybody on the Lakers are knocking down threes. The three-point shot was falling for the Lakers very well last night. And LeBron, he hit several threes himself. So, I mean, it's like, the shooting was good for a period of time, and then all of a sudden it just went away because it's like they don't have that other go-to guy. Their only option is the king, LeBron James, and he can't really be your only option now because, like I said, he's really too old to kind of carry a team. He's just good enough to maintain and sustain a team's success at this point, being a part of a team's success and really, really putting his stamp on it at times because, he's still good enough to do that. He's still good enough to win you games, but he's not good enough to win you games through a whole season and go through the playoffs and put the team on his back and get to the finals and win it. He's not good enough to do all that anymore. I mean, it's just not the stage he's at. And you can see a lot of these games, he just seems more, gassed, tired. You look at his hair up top, he's losing a whole lot of hair. He doesn't even have any hair up top anymore. He done lost so much hair. I mean, he might as well just go bald because, at the top, it's like he's missing everything up there. I don't know if it's because of stress, because of this team, or is it because just all the years and miles he put on his body, things are just fading. Who knows? But, at the same time, LeBron just can't do this over and over and over. And I just don't think that the Lakers, can settle with the team the way it is. They have to try to find a way. The only problem is the Lakers really can't trade Russell Westbrook because no team really wants him. Teams are looking at Russell Westbrook on a big stage, probably the biggest stage in basketball, in LA. And out here in LA, nobody is impressed. Either Lakers fans, Clippers fans, Warriors fans. I don't care who in California, nobody's impressed by Russell Westbrook. And then I can tell you, other states, other teams are not impressed by Russell Westbrook either. And, it's going to take the Lakers to make a trade possibly to a lower seeded team and maybe get somebody else, in that could probably help them win. It's going to have to be a shooter because honestly, another big problem the Lakers have, that is kind of glaring as well. They can't space the floor. Russell Westbrook, when Russell Westbrook's on the floor, it's no spacing because he can't shoot. He just kind of crowds the lane and kind of makes it difficult for everybody else because they don't have that other star player or other player that they can depend on to kick it out to, every time that gives them that option. They were better with KCP, when they had him knocking down shots in the bubble. Even when Rondo was knocking down shots in the bubble, they were better when they were utilizing players like that to that advantage. But they don't have that now. And Rondo's not playing, the way he was a couple seasons ago, which is understandable. I guess he's getting older too. But this is my point. THT and a couple other players on there, they're just not living up to expectations so far. This is the reason why the Lakers season has been a bust season so far, because they just don't have, LeBron just doesn't have the pieces he need to help him win. Because now that he can't really be the king, the guy that takes over the games, the guy that controls the game, the guy that has all the energy, the guy that doesn't get injured, the guy that's the most durable superstar in the NBA history, because he's starting to wane and lose some of those features, now it's like he's relying on the team to have his back, and he just doesn't have that type of help. And I don't know if he's going to get it anytime soon. We'll just have to see what happens. But honestly, them not being able to close games is their biggest weakness to me, because I don't care how talented you are. You can have no turnovers all the way up to the fourth quarter. But if you start turning the ball over in the fourth quarter, you'll get beat. If you shoot a really good percentage the whole game, just almost like the Lakers did last night, predominantly they shot really good for most of that game, and they were in control most of that game. But when the momentum shifts to the other team, that's when you have to have those certain type players or player in the fourth quarter to close out a game, to let the other team know you don't have a chance, to put your foot on the other team's neck and put the nail in the coffin. And right now the Lakers just don't have that. And without them having that, it really hurts their system of trying to win games, because not only they're bad, not only they can't win games, but they have problems defensively. They can't stop anybody defensively. So if you can't stop nobody on defense, and you can't, if the game is 105 to 106 or something like that, and you don't have that guy who can close a game out because you're up by 1.2 points in the fourth quarter, you don't have that go-to closer that you always can rely on, it makes it hard to win. And the Lakers just don't have a closer. I mean, LeBron, like I said, he's the only closer they have, at best, but you can't rely on him because he's just not at that stage anymore to do it over and over and over and continuously carry this team. At some point, you're going to see LeBron break down, and you might see it this season. I hope not, but at the same time, it's very warranted. It's very possible that can happen, and I hope it doesn't. But at the same time, it just doesn't look good for Lakerland. And if they want to be a contending team, they're going to have to make other reparations, and they're going to have to make something else happen. Because right now, you lose a game last night against a team like the Grizzlies, who you had this team in control. You had this team beat, and LeBron James has a 37-point night shooting lights out, and you still lose to a Grizzlies team where Ja Morant didn't shoot his best at first. And, the Grizzlies were struggling from three. They really were. They shot like 33% in the game, and they still won. So, I mean, that's very, very bad basketball. And it comes back to bite you after a while. And right now, Clipper Nation is laughing because they won their game last night against the Boston Celtics, and they don't even have one superstar on the floor. Not one. Marcus Morris had to be the savior for them going into that game, along with Luke Kennard. I mean, it just doesn't look good for the Lakers right now. You have all this talent, but there's no winning coming out of it. And there's other teams with no talent on there, and they're winning games somehow by winging a prayer, and you can't hold on to a lead, and you got all the superstars in the world. And it just doesn't make any sense, But right now, the Lakers are going through what they're going through for a reason. LeBron chosenly handpicked Russell Westbrook. So happy birthday, LeBron. You got what you asked for. But maybe you want to return it, or hopefully you have a receipt to return it, or return your purchase where you got it from, because it's just not working. It's just not for you. And honestly, the Lakers are going to have to figure out something different if they want to try to rectify their season and make it better going forward. But hey, that's my take on the situation. You leave any comments in the comment section. You let me know what you think, as always. And hey, Khaliis out.